Hey guys, what's up? We're back with another Destiny 2 video, and today we've got notes from the second Into the Light reveal stream. And well, I've got quite a bit, so grab some popcorn, get nice and comfy, sit down. We're gonna have a nice chat about what was revealed in this stream. So it turns out the social space is in fact not the old D1 tower, although there are some surprises coming in the third and final Into the Light stream. Well, you know, one can hope as far as a D1 beta vet. And yes, I am actually a beta in more than one ways. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's maybe gonna be the D1 tower as well. But I think there are some more secrets that, aside from that we'll see coming up. This Hall of Champions is very Shaxy, as you're seeing hopefully in this gameplay that I streamed and recorded. There are lots and lots of chests that you can open eventually when you rank up. There's also some other stuff as well. You'll see some chests in there. There's a gift of the Thunder Gods, which was something back in Season of the Plunder that gave free arc weapons, I believe. It was like Thunderlord and maybe a couple other things, but like Risk Runner maybe. And perhaps the most important news of all, which I'm sure you may have already seen, especially for you fashionistas out there, is that the Super Black shader is back in action. You will see it pop up on some point, or at some point on screen during this gameplay. So you'll have it soon. Sorry if I slur some words here and there. My sleep schedule's messed up because I had a jury duty this week, and I do not like getting up early, so my sleep schedule again a little out of whack. But yeah, this Super Black shader basically is going to take the place of the Lost Memento. So yes, if you're like me and you spent most of your wish tokens on those mementos, well, hopefully if you haven't done them yet, this is my PSA to you: don't spend it on those. In fact, spend it on literally anything else, because this shader more than likely will be better than that, because you don't have to equip it to one weapon. You can equip it to any and all of your weapons, which is just phenomenal. So I'm going to list some of these weapons that are coming back. We already knew a couple, like Hung Jury and Midnight Coup. So these are primarily ones that were introduced in this stream. Another thing to note about weapons before I get into the specific ones that are coming back: there will be a limited time ornament that you can only get during Into the Light. So yes, FOMO is kind of back, although you will be able to get the normal versions of these weapons, so do not fret. If you're someone who maybe doesn't have a lot of time over the next couple of months before the final shape, you're still going to be able to get the regular versions of these weapons. The ornament is cool, but listen, it's honestly not all that, at least in my opinion. Feel free to take a look yourself and make your own decision, but I think really you won't be missing out on that much, especially because the quality of most of these weapons, at least from what we've seen, they all seem fantastic, right? Maybe some of the perk pools aren't all that in a bag of chips, but for the most part, again, they look really nice. And also, we're getting 100 more vault spaces in the final shape. So yeah, I just cleaned my vault today, and I got it down a bunch. I'm like, man, you know, Into the Light, I'm probably gonna have a lot of weapons, you know, that are gonna be in my vault, and I want it clean before the final shape as much as possible anyways. But yeah, it turns out it's completely pointless because we're getting 100 more spaces anyways. And yes, I will actually be uploading my vault cleaning some point, maybe tomorrow. It was a bit long, so it might take me a bit to edit down. But without further ado, the weapons that are coming into the light, including the ones that were revealed last week, which I'll add at the end here, but the ones revealed in this stream were Blast Furnace, Hammerhead, Mountaintop, Recluse, Succession, and we'll get to why that's nice in a second. Luna's Howl, Elsie's Rifle, which is essentially just the Stranger's Rifle, Forbearance, Edge Transit, and Falling Guillotine. Now, we also know that Hung Jury's coming back, which kind of sucks because we have so many iterations of that gun, and you kind of wish they'd give it a break for a little bit. Midnight Coup, as I previously mentioned, and I think there might be one or two that I'm missing. Maybe someone can fill in that gap. The nice thing about these raid weapons, Forbearance and Succession, is, at this point, Vow is 2 years old. Deepstone Crypt is pretty old as well. So having players go back to play these things and having to buy them, Beyond Light or Witch Queen, it is kind of limiting. So if you're a new player and you want these weapons, but you don't want to have to buy DLC to get them, this is a nice way. It might seem like a little gimmicky to people who maybe already have those weapons, and these people don't have to buy or grind for these. But at this point, not allowing Forbearance, which is one of the best grenade launchers, if not the best grenade launcher in the game, not allowing new people, it's gatekeeping. It's weird, and listen, people should be able to enjoy some of the better guns in this game. And Fallen Guillotine, I was a little apprehensive, why are we bringing that back? We have a good version in the game, but this version will be enhanceable. All the weapons I just mentioned will be enhanceable in the final shape, right? So you're going to be able to get Eager Edge on it as well. Fallen Guillotine will have Eager Edge. This is not a drill. So yeah, for all of you people as well who are like, man, I'm so glad they took it out of this game just for me to rechase it, or, recycled content. Welcome to Destiny 2. I'm not gonna try to argue with people who have that opinion. If you have that opinion, I don't blame you. Sunsetting was absolutely atrocious, and it should have never happened. But as a counter argument, a lot of old D2 weapons have just become obsolete. No one's using the older guns that you can get now that aren't enhanceable because they're just not good. So even if those guns were left in the game, the perks would simply just be outdated and nobody would use them. So the fact that these weapons are coming back with updated perk pools, origin traits, and the ability to be enhanced is overall better for not just the players, but for the game's health in general, because everyone gets to enjoy these weapons. And not to mention that Mountaintop got this addition to it, where you can just rocket jump, which is really cool. And fellow PvP players, do not fear, Mountaintop is not a one-shot. So we're not going back to that meta, because, man, that was rough. So, very nice indeed. I think this will be fantastic for the sandbox to get this influence of old new weapons, and it's gonna be fun. People can scream recycled content as much as they like, but if you're not gonna play this, that's fine. More loot for the rest of us, and if you've moved on from Destiny, then why do you care, right? People are gonna play it whether you dislike it or not, and I think that for people who have moved on, good for you. I'm happy for you, and I hope that you find nothing but happiness and success, as many people have. Listen, I've talked about it before. Destiny isn't the only avenue for live service gaming, and it can be rough, but this update genuinely seems like it'll be something good for the community, because it's free. It's free, and you cannot argue with that. I think it would absolutely be 110% worse if this was a paid content update and these weapons were behind a paywall. It would just be such a mess, and a PR mess at that, and Bungie needs every PR win they can get right now. Let's talk about one of the origin traits, Last Stand, which I think was on Recluse. I don't remember. Don't quote me on that. But it was weapon final blows grant bonus damage, and then grenade and melee final blows also add stacks to that bonus damage. The ornaments that I mentioned earlier with the Into the Light limited time ones, they will also be sold and equipable. Or, I'm sorry, these are old ornaments that I'm talking about, like the opulent ornaments, ornaments for Recluse and Mountaintop. I don't know if Mountaintop had an ornament actually, but those old ornaments will be sold and equipable on those reissued weapons if you had them before. So if you already have those ornaments, like the spider one, I think, for Recluse, that one you will be able to equip once you get that one back, because you already own it. Similar to how Callus Mini Tool works, all the opulent weapons that came back in Season of the Haunted. So also, for each of these weapons, you will have 2 perk slots, which a chance of 2 perk slots to drop, similar to how if you rank up a Vanguard vendor or Crucible vendor, Shax or Zavala, right? You can get multiple perk selections. You will have a chance for that every time you get a drop. There will also be curated roles that you can get from Arcite. Our old buddy Arcite is back with Shax, handling weapon quests and whatnot. So you can get those from him and get a certain amount of weapons from him as well, if you want those curated roles anyways. Me personally, I'm going to be chasing whatever the best role is out there, and I'm very excited for Into the Light. Next week, as I mentioned, or actually, I didn't mention this part, there will be exotics revealed, as well as a preview of the PvP map pack, and of course, I did mention this, that there will be some surprises as well. So, I think for the most part that this is a good update, at least from what we've seen. I can't speak to how Onslaught will play. I can't speak to how these weapons will actually be in the meta, and if they'll actually be worth chasing, but again, from what I've seen, this update seems really, really nice, and I'm excited to give it a try. And I think it's really going to come down to how worth it is it. Is Mountaintop really going to be worth it? Is Recluse a shadow of what it was, or is it as good as it used to be? And, you know, recycled content can be good. I've talked about this before. It can be good. And this isn't 100% recycled content, at least as far as Onslaught goes. Like, it's a new mode. It might be on old PvP maps, but that, again, as I mentioned in the previous Into the Light reveal reaction video, whatever you want to call it, that gave them more time to flesh out the game mode and how it works and all the quirks and stuff, and that is really for the better, especially since they're in a bit of a crunch to try and polish the final shape as much as they can so that it's actually good and they don't fade away. I want to make this analogy because I do think that Bungie is a lot, or very, very similar to Rooster Teeth. And I say this in the hopes that Bungie maybe won't get closed down like Rooster Teeth recently did. But you never know. So, you know, I'm just going to take the time here, and maybe in a later video, if the eventuality ever comes that Bungie is in fact being shut down or whatever. I don't think that's going to happen. I think worst case scenario is, and this might not even be the worst case, but you know, Sony does end up taking over and maybe they change the path of the game, but try to keep the core of it intact and cater to the fans harder than Bungie has in recent years. Worst case scenario is that the game does end here, and that's it, and no more for the rest of time. Destiny 2 is a dead horse. But I think you do have to take the time to appreciate what you have. And recently it's been hard to do that because Destiny 2 and Bungie in general has just had so many controversies and problems. And you really do have to appreciate what you have, because you once it's gone, it's gone. It's cliche, but it's true, because we maybe take it for granted a little bit, just how good Destiny feels as a game to play. And I think if you took away most of the outside public controversy, Destiny would be viewed in a much greater light than it is. But that's not how it works. You know, the court of public opinion exists for a reason, and that is to steer a company in the direction that reflects what the consumers want. And I think we're finally getting to see a glimpse of that with Into the Light. Horde mode is something that people have been asking for forever, and the fact that this is going to stay as a ritual activity and maybe even get updated in the future is great. Think about it. If they leave Onslaught as a free edition and they keep re-adding sunset weapons that people are asking for, it could be one of the greatest additions to Destiny ever. Because we're getting the weapons back that were taken away from us, and they'll be even better than they were in the first place. At least, you know, there's the potential for that anyways. So, while things may seem bad right now, and, you know, Final Shape is mysteriously been, well, not mysteriously delayed, but we don't know what's happening with it at this point. We don't know what changes that Bungie implemented in the time that they had in between its original release and now. So there's a lot of uncertainty, and I'm sure for the devs and even those managers and higher ups that maybe had more to do with the layoffs than they like to admit, I'm sure they're feeling it as well. You know, it's a job security thing, and everyone there is human, and I think it's also important to take a second to remember that. So this isn't just a company, this isn't just a game, it's people's livelihoods as well. And, you know, from our perspective, it is important to think of it as just a game every once in a while. But from their perspective, again, it's legitimately their livelihood. So I think they have way more to lose in this situation than any of us. I mean, my YouTube channel certainly isn't making me any money right now, so if Destiny were to die out and I wasn't making content anymore, I could pivot to something else and maybe still make a career out of YouTube. But if Dev loses their job or something like that at Bungie, they have way more questions than I would, and way more anxiety, essentially. So with that, I know that got maybe a little bit heavier than I had hoped at the end, but if you stuck around to this point, let me know what your favorite Bungie memory is or has been to this point. Again, thanks for listening. Like if you enjoyed, comment what you think down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, it's free. It helps me a lot to know that you guys enjoy this type of content. Just a reminder, I will be back next week with a very similar video to this, sometime on Tuesday. And I will be streaming the third and final reveal stream live on Twitch as well. If you want to come say hi, hang out, grab some popcorn as well, a snack, and just chat with what's being revealed with me. It's a much more chill environment than the Bungie chat. So if you want to come hang out there, you're more than welcome. Anyways, thanks again for watching. As always, know that you guys just being here watching this video, it brings me plenty of joy. So if that's all you're doing, you're not subscribing or anything else, I truly appreciate it. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.